corporate people hire someone to come in just to shift the morale? Morale is everything. We are literally morale shifters. Yeah. We can come in a room and that room could be sobbing and I can shift the entire room. One person, I can make everybody in that room feel good. Just like when you were like, man, I may need to be a different type of coach. People tell me I'm only inspiring. And I'm like, oh shoot, well, if you got that down, that's the best thing you can do, because now you can inspire means you get people to take action, and you immediately was like, So when you understand this gift that you have to be able to shift into the room, you need to use that.
The top 3 responses that I get when I ask, why do you want to leave corporate America, are that you want financial freedom, you want to own your own time, and you want to build a legacy for this generation and generations to come. Now, this is not a solo job. In order to transition from your 9-to-5 into entrepreneurship, it's going to take community and it's going to take resources. And I've created the community of pioneers who are going to wrap around you and help you make that transition successfully. So if you're interested in leaving your job, go ahead and click that information below. Let's get into the community and let's transition from your 9-to-5 into entrepreneurship successfully. Now let's get back to the episode. Welcome to another episode of the Work and Play Podcast. I'm your host, Ariel Young, and I got my coach sitting right next to me.
Let's go.
It's gonna be a
That's
really
a dope sweatshirt, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dream Builders, stand up.
Salute to the Dream Builders. Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So I'm really extremely thrilled to have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
Get into your mind a little bit.
Okay.
But without further ado, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yo, I'm Wes Taylor. I'm a launch strategist. I'm also a believer, husband, and a father. And I'm excited about that. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And he's a mastermind behind webinars. So I have toyed with all these extra ideas of how I was going to build my empire. I've tried a couple different solutions, and I found that webinars is one way that I can actually stretch myself and use my skills and abilities. So how about we start there?
Okay.
Like, what was it that helped you understand webinars was the best way to launch and scale a business?
Yeah, so when I started this entrepreneur journey, like most, you're trying to find something that people would buy. So I had a lot of failure. I created like 20 products and never got sales from them, first of all. But when I finally found a product that people would buy, I was like, man, I'm getting 1 to 2 sales, maybe 3, maybe 4 sales. But I needed more if I was going to actually leave my job and sustain a business. So I needed more predictable income. And so I started researching what are ways that I can get in front of people more, and I need bulk sales, and I want all of these things. And then initially I found a guy that was talking about funnels, and you do a freebie and you get everybody on your email list and you sell to them that way. And it works. However, it was still very slow paced. Okay. And I wanted, like, how can I get in front of people faster? There was a young lady, Kimber Luna. She invited me to a webinar. I saw her messaging, and she was like, I'm going to teach you how to get more sales in your business. I'm like, boom, this is what I need. And we get in there, and as I'm going through this whole process, I said, oh, shoot, I'm in the system that I need to do. And the reason why I said that is because I did not know her in the beginning. And at the end, she had me ready to buy a $2,500 product. And I'm like, I just met you. And now at the end of this 90-minute webinar, I am like, I love you. And I'm about to give you my card and open this up. And like, I'm thinking, like, how many other people did that? And we learned, I became a student, and I later learned that she made $1.8 million off of that launch. And she used webinars the entire time. And I was just like, oh shoot, this is it. This is what I need to do. And in her program, she actually was teaching you how to launch. And one of the ways of teaching how to launch was through webinars. And I was like, oh, this is it. This is how I'm doing it. And I started doing it, changing things and kind of making it my own and launching how I launch. And that's just started going up from there.
That's what I'm curious about, right? Yeah. So you saw it work. And even you saw yourself in the system, like, okay, I'm in the system. She got me in here.
Yeah, I'm in here.
And now you're a student. So what did your first webinar look like?
Oh, it was still trash. Like, let's be clear. Like, I don't want you to think I hit it out the park. So my very first webinar, I don't think I got any sales the very first one. Matter of fact, there were probably only 3 people on. And, you know, on the webinar, you can see when people get on and get off. So as soon as I saw one go, I just like, oh my God, they hate me. They don't love me. You know, I'm dealing with the rejection of it. And I think as an entrepreneur, it's important to understand your triggers so you know what to do when those things come up. So like rejection, I'm sometimes triggered. You know, it goes back to childhood. So I had to see one person drop off. That's not a lot. It's still 2 on. But I had to now have a conversation within myself. Like, okay, they may have just got a call. They may have to do something else and all of that. So, you know, you still go through this emotional battle almost because you're really putting yourself out there. So I did it. No one bought, which was cool. I was discouraged. But then I did it again because like we were just talking about before we started recording, I'm the type that once I do it, it's not going to look the same the next time. Yeah. So I was able to change, like, okay, first of all, why didn't people show up? I thought I probably had like 20 people registered. And I'm like, why all 20 didn't show up? And they forgot. I didn't have reminders. And then I had to look at, well, what product was I selling? You know, and would people buy this? I was selling like a 30-day motivation journey. And it was like, I didn't really know how to say what it really was. So no one bought. So I changed these things. I go back and I'm now selling what is Dream Builder Nation today. You don't even know Dream Builder Nation started off at $20 a month.
What was the premise behind Dream Builder Nation? So
it was to help, like as I started shifting, it was to help initially to help the mindset of entrepreneurs. Okay. Like I had this 30-day journey that I would take people through, and then I took them through a 90-day journey. Well, I wanted you to just focus on your habits, your mindset, your affirmations, who you are, creating some structure, going live. So it was really just kind of shifting that. And this is the most important part of entrepreneurship. However, it's hard to package and now get people to think like this is your problem. Yeah. So you got to show them something else. Oh no, I'm gonna teach you how to get sales. But once you get in here, sales is all about your mindset anyway. Facts. You know what I'm saying? So I got to teach you that. I show you what you want, but then I give you what you need. Yeah. You know, type of thing. And so that's what it started off as. $20 a month. You have a community. I would do calls every single morning, doing motivation calls. My first dream builder was Camille Dangerfield. She got on, she was on there, and she bought right on the actual webinar. I'm doing a webinar, and then I say, the link is now there. Let's go, y'all. Let's get in, let's get going and all of this stuff. And I see her jump in. I said, oh, Camille Dangerfield, welcome to Dream Builder Day. I'm like, I'm geek, like, I just got a sale. Yes. And then I'm excited. And so now I exaggerate a little bit. So I say, all right, y'all are just coming on in, And finally, somebody else, they jump in. Mm-hmm. So we had 2 dream builders. And I just kept going from there. And then I was like, this is how on launch. I got 2 sales. I had never gotten 2 sales in one day.
Was it for the $20 a month, or was it for like a year?
No, it was $20 a month.
So
I wasn't that smart yet.
Gotcha. So that means you started doing webinars before you started doing high ticket sales.
Yeah, I didn't know anything. Listen, my friend had said that should be at least $97 a month. All right, and I was like, no, I can't. Who's gonna give me $97 a month? So me doing high ticket, which means your product is high price, like $3,500 and up, people consider high ticket, right? Mm-hmm. So me thinking about somebody giving me even $1,000, even $200 was like, it's never gonna happen, right? So I did something that I thought like, people gotta do this, $20. Yeah. And I had 10 people on that webinar, and I thought more people would have went for the $20. However, you start to learn that the more you become mature as an entrepreneur, you start to learn it's never about the price. Yeah, price doesn't matter. You can have a $2 product. Why do you think people still market $1 products? You see people on Instagram still marketing a $1 sale, right? Everything is going to take the same energy. You're going to put the same energy into marketing. You're going to put the same energy into creating. So it's not the price. It's about getting people to understand what is in it for them.
Yeah.
And people forget that part. They start talking about, like, here's all of the amenities that you're going to get and all of this stuff. But it's like, you're doing that to big up you. Like, look at everything I put in here. I got 100 videos. I got worksheets. So you're like...
I'm thinking about the reel that you did.
Yes.
Where you literally was going through all the features.
Yes.
And there's a whole mindset shift that we got to go through when we go from like selling all the features to selling what you're talking about, which is the actual need.
The actual need. We sell the features.
Yeah.
And the features, the reason why we're so excited about the features is because it's something we created. We get excited about boasting about our creation. Yeah. Which your creation is dope. I want you to be proud of it. But that's not what gets your people to make a decision.
Yeah.
So what really gets them to make a decision is you understanding, how is this going to relieve the pain that I'm in today, right now? How does this get me out of my current situation? Whatever industry you're in, whether it's weight loss, marriage, I'm having problems in my marriage. Whatever you present me, I don't want to know, well, you're going to be able to get on 3 calls with me. What does all of that mean? What does that mean? How does all of this stuff you're telling me get me out of this situation with my wife where we're sleeping in separate rooms? We have our kids and they're asking questions. Get me out of that now.
Yeah.
And if you can tell me you can do that,
money. Okay, gotcha. They'll invest. So you talk about in your journey how you started off trying to help people build the entrepreneurial mindset.
Yeah.
And you were talking about how you talked to a whole bunch of people who hate their job in corporate, right?
Right. Yeah.
And that was you talk about how you recognize there was a difference between people in corporate who hate their jobs and people in corporate who like their jobs.
9 to 5, happy and unhappy.
Yeah. So tell us how did you decide, or how did you find out that there were 2 different types?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like. That's goes into like actually understanding your audience. Mm-hmm. and I had to learn that there's a language that everybody speaks. Yeah. So when you say everybody is your target audience, you're limiting yourself because you're now not focused on one particular person and you can't speak their language, right? So when you get married, it's like, I'm devoting to you, so I'm going to learn you, and I know your love language, and I'm going to do those things, right? That's what it is with marketing. So for me, I was doing all of this motivation stuff, and I learned that a lot of 9 to 5 or corporate workers, because I was in corporate and jobs at the time, I was going in schools and all of those things, they were following me, and I would say, hey, get on my list. I'm going to send you daily motivational emails. People were doing that. Right? So I have this whole list, but as I start to learn entrepreneurship, I started learning how to sell a product, I started doing all of these things about digital product, creating funnels. So now I'm on the point of leaving my job. So now my emails shift over. I'm now telling them like, look, this year I'm going to get you out of your job. I'm going to do these things and all of this stuff. And so I now create a product called the 9 to 5 escape plan. And people are opening the emails like normal, but no one is buying. No one is doing anything. So I'm weirded out. And I finally get an email that says, "Words, what are you talking about? I'm not leaving my job."
Yeah.
And I respond back like, "Why not? You like your job?" And the person, she is a female. She's like, "Yes, I love my job. I was just listening to you for mindset and motivation, and it was getting me through my day. I'm not trying to leave my job." And right then and there, I was like, oh, shoot. So there's people that actually love their job. And she was listening to me for mindset. No, so now I think about if I had a product then that would talk about, I'm going to teach you how to get a raise, how to negotiate a raise. Mm-hmm. I'm going to teach you how to get... what do you call it when you get another promoted? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to teach you how to get promoted within your first 60 days. I'm going to teach you how to create a social network among your, whatever, those things would work. How to climb the corporate ladder. Yeah. And all of those. That's their language. That's their messaging. Yeah. Had I been doing that, I may have gotten a couple sales.
But where does that fit within your mission? Because I created the corporate exit blueprint. Honestly, similar journey. But I don't necessarily want to help like people who are going up the corporate ladder, right?
Right.
Because my personal help is this way. So how did that fit within your?
It didn't. That's why I didn't get any sales.
Gotcha.
So I shifted to, I need to focus on the people that don't like their jobs. Or either they may like it, but they have an entrepreneur journey that they want to pursue.
Right.
So they're an aspiring entrepreneur. And so I started focusing on them and figuring out their language. So I didn't always say, you hate your job. I would say, like, right now, like the messaging or the emails is like, right now you may be reading this email for your job and you're loving what you're doing, but you're constantly distracted during the day because you're thinking about that product or that business that you want to start on your own. You're thinking about the freedom. You're thinking about what you could be doing right now instead of sitting in that cubicle. And I get it. I was there as well. So, like, you see how that messaging changes?
Absolutely.
Everything. And then the person's like, yes. Like, that's all I could think about. My business. Every time they're talking, to people, they're talking about their business. They're talking about, man, what if, and I thought about create this. And you're constantly talking about it.
Yeah.
And now I'm saying, listen, I'm going to help you make that come to fruition.
Yeah.
And then I started to see some growth. And then I end up shifting to full-time entrepreneurs. So I think I will say when it comes to finding your target audience, getting your messaging down, all of that, you just have to start. The evolution process will happen. Even when it comes to niching down, I tell people you need to niche your target audience, niche what you're saying, niche down to one problem. Well, that's kind of hard to do right now when you think like, man, but I could solve 20.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you don't really understand that you solve only 19 of those just okay. But there's one where you're the master at.
Yeah.
So it's, I had to find which one. I had to find that one that I was like, this is me. This is my zone of genius. You keep me here and we're going to go to the moon. So those are the things we're marketing now.
That's exciting. Well, speaking about target, it's exciting and it's also uplifting for me to kind of continue to be in between zone of excellence, zone of genius, and just get comfortable in that. But a part of like the target audience and then like knowing your avatar, a lot of things that I learned is it starts with who you are. Like who were you when you started where you were, and then how are you going to get that person from moving forward? Yes. So what was your relationship with corporate before you left your job?
So I hated it. I remember my boss I had a couple of jobs. I've been fired from a couple as well. My buddy Abdul says this. I am psychologically unemployable, right? So I remember I went to a corporate job, and not saying that the job was bad, it just wasn't for me. I was doing it because I had failed so much as an entrepreneur that I just literally could not take it anymore. I'm like, I'm putting my wife through this, I'm putting our kids through this. It's just a lot. I need some type of security, some certainty. Yeah. So I do it, and I remember after about the first day, I come home and I'm crying. My wife is like, "How was your first day?" I'm like, "Babe, people go here to die." And I'm not saying anything about the people. I'm just saying a person with a dream, that's where it dies. The dreams die. And I'm like, I can't see myself doing it. And I remember the first, they do like the 7-day end of the week check-in. My supervisor come up to me, she kneeled down in my cubicle, and she was like, "So how's your first day?" And tears in my eyes. I ain't let one go, but I literally said, "I hate it. I hate this." I said, "But I can't leave it, and I won't leave it because of my family." Mm-hmm. So I started attaching this to my family. The biggest thing that let me know it was time to go for real is a guy who had been watching my videos and motivation and seeing me win and encourage and all of this stuff. Like, I'm walking out and he was like, Words? Is that Words Taylor? And because in corporate they use your real name. They don't care anything about this brand you're trying to build and all of that stuff. So I hadn't heard Words, and I look around like, yeah, it's me. And that kind of perked up like, oh, people know me? Oh, shoot. And he said something that changed my life. He said, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "No, I'm working. Yeah, I work here now." He's like, "I know you work here, but what are you doing here?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be here. And that right there, in a moment where I was just feeling very low and inadequate, he doesn't even know. My man just ignited something back in me. And I was like, I got to get out of here. And so I added a second job. I was doing there from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. I would go to my other job from 3:30 to 11:30. And I was like, I'm going to save money, but I'm going to build my business as well. And I would come home. I'd get home about 11:45. My wife will tell you, I would stay up until like 1 or 2 trying to work on my business. But I needed more capital, so I just took on a second job. And now I understand, you can make money without taking on a second job or even having to leave your house. But this is the only way
at the time
that I knew at the time where I can create some income. I did that, and then slowly I'm like, okay, I can get out of this job. I removed the job. I had something else set up, and then I end up, leaving the part-time job as well. But that was my process, and like for me, I think the reason why corporate would have been better if I was raised differently. But I wasn't raised to be a part of a system.
Yeah.
My father's a full-time entrepreneur.
Really?
He didn't work a job. My man knew how to go out and create income.
Is that why you tried entrepreneurship different times and you decided, okay, I'm gonna go and try this other thing real quick?
Yeah.
It was get myself together.
Yes, it was both of us thinking that his way wasn't the right way.
Got it.
So people started telling him, like, you need to make sure your son get to college because you want him to get a good job. You want him, have it different than what you're doing. Not knowing that my pops was doing, his actions were the correct actions. Yeah. Well, based on what he desired from me.
Right.
Maybe other people. So we were trying to get me to fit into a system, but for the 18 years I was at home, the system was entrepreneurship that I learned. So now I'm trying to fit into the school system. I'm trying to, and I failed semesters. I even got kicked out at one point and all this stuff. And then I'm trying to fit into a job. And now where am I at? I'm a full-time entrepreneur. I'm right back where it feels comfortable because this is how I was raised. Yeah. And so me trying to fit into the system, it didn't work for me. I wasn't even taught to think as an employee. I was always taught to think ownership, think create your own income, think boss, think. My pops used to say, son, you're a millionaire. I heard these often. You're a millionaire. You think like a millionaire. And he was, even as he was like disciplining, there was some, like, he was a hard pops, right? He's a hard father. But even through some of the discipline, there were still compliments in there. He's like, yeah, you too smart to be doing these type of things, You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You're a leader, and leaders don't do, all of these things. So he's angry, but he's telling me like, this is unacceptable because you are here. Right. And that's how I was taught to think.
That's fire.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm thinking about the difference between millennials who want to be entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs back then. Kind of trying to understand your dad's perspective. Yeah. Because nowadays, I had a friend of mine ask me, like, do you think entrepreneurs back in the day wanted to be entrepreneurs to be rich, or do you think it was more so about freedom? Versus now, we have people who quit their jobs because they want that 6 figures.
That's good.
Do you think your dad was an entrepreneur out of necessity or because he had a dream?
I'm extremely passionate about helping corporate professionals transition into entrepreneurship. So I had to share the number one thing that helped me develop as an entrepreneur, and that's the morning meetup. I joined the morning meetup specifically for the structure because I'm leaving corporate America, so I'm used to those morning huddles. We got our sales, we know what our goals are, and we get our day started. So I was missing that for 2 years before I even found the morning meetup. Now, the second thing that I really benefited from was the revenue. Revenue generating activities was not necessarily a thing before 2021. Now, I had my LLC, I had my website, I had a few clients here and there, but the momentum really took off as soon as I got around like-minded individuals and people who really knew the struggles that I was already dealing with, that I could get over my fear of sales and communicating my value and putting myself out there on social media. The friends that I've developed, the mentors and the mentees that I've created relationships with, everything has really created this environment for us to thrive as entrepreneurs. So if you want to develop as an entrepreneur, you're leaving corporate America and you're trying to figure out, how do I get my footing in entrepreneurship, then the morning meetup will definitely be a game changer for you. You can learn with us, you can grow with us. And I didn't even mention that we have a book club. Join us in the community. Let's get started today. You will not regret it.
It started off for sure as a necessity, just because he never graduated high school. So I think the highest level for him was maybe his sophomore year or something like that. So understanding that during those times, the job market, maybe you at least had to have a high school diploma or something like that. And maybe he didn't want to do just like, oh, I'm in a factory or anything. You know what? Matter of fact, he did work in a steel mill for a while. I didn't live with him for my first 7 years.
Okay.
By the time I moved there, he had shifted away from that, and then he was like doing his own like hustling thing. But I think that came out of, man, I got to take care of my son now. I got to do something that's going to bring in money, and I can't be at a steel mill doing overnight shifts. He had hurt his wrist; it was wear and tear on his body. So for him, I think it was a necessity, and probably because he felt very limited on his options. Maybe because he was more set up at himself later because he didn't finish high school, which now he's gotten his GED and everything. Like he's.
Is he still an entrepreneur?
Oh yeah, most definitely. That won't change.
Do you feel like, so a lot of times as children we end up teaching our parents things, and because he's already created the system of entrepreneurship out of necessity, he's bred a dreamer.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you teach your dad how to be a dreamer? Have you seen some of that rub off on your dad?
I think so. Like we do have this conversation, and he'll hit me with the, "Are I'm the father, right?" And I know, Pop. I get it. Things are different, right? People market different, right? So I think now, whereas before when I first learned, I was coming with my ego and chest out, like you're doing that wrong, right? So at that point, it could look like an attack, and then he can get very defensive, like I did this. How you think you? But today, I think it's more so of him now understanding where my skill set is. So he was like, "Yo, so I already got the business. I just need help getting it out there." So now it's easy to submit to, something when you're like, "I know this is not my thing." So whereas I was attacking the thing that he did very well, but that's because I was just now learning that I didn't know where my one thing was. So now when I understood, oh no, my one thing is strategy and launching. I'm a launch strategist. So now he can see, oh, okay, this is where my son comes in. And I can teach from that level, and he can receive.
Got it. So before you were kind of shooting all kind of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I've been an entrepreneur your whole life.
Don't claim I've been here for years. You know what I'm saying? Like so, and I just seen him. He does real estate. He owns property and all of those things now. So it's pretty dope to see what he's built, for himself, and then how I was able to benefit on a high level from it.
Yeah. You mentioned skill sets, right? And part of it is like niching down as a business owner, but as a person, you're also learning about yourself. So I think back to the time where you have your coworker in the parking lot, like, what are you doing here, right? Kind of opens you up to the possibility that, I can do this entrepreneur thing, right? But at the same time, and it honestly, your story kind of reminds me of a situation where an HR manager told me, like, you should be an entrepreneur. You really, and
that's dope.
The funny thing is, I've been raised as a system type person.
Oh, okay.
So I'm thinking, you just don't want to give me a job. You just don't want to help me. I took it so bad.
That's good.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
When she told me that, it locked me up. It made me a little bit upset. So for you, it freed you.
Yes, if she would have said that to me, I would have been like, no, okay, you right. Oh my God, okay, let me get back on track.
Exactly. So speaking of which,
that's good. That's good.
Literally, I'm learning a lot through your story. So you start learning about yourself, and a lot of stuff that you talk about right now is DISC, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, at what point in your journey did you start learning about DISC and how to figure out what your skills were?
Yeah, I it wasn't kicked off until like 2018.
Okay.
Which was, I had said to my wife, I had just quit my job finally. And
Was it after that conversation with him?
It was directly after, like, let's say 2 weeks later, I connected with, no, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. Yeah, I did not quit until like 6 months later after that. But I had just quit my job. I had put in my notice after that conversation with him, and I had another conversation with my buddy Christopher. Then that's when I was like, I'm leaving. Okay. So I put in my notice, and then 6 months later, I was out. So after quitting my job, at this point, what was the original question?
When you start learning about disc.
Okay, so at this point, I'm now, I've been doing these jobs, but I've been getting sales, all of this stuff. I'm doing webinars, however, but I'm still only getting like 10, 15, 20 people on the webinars. I got more dream builders now. I ended up going to I finally did a $100 product, and I made $5,000. Yeah, we moving up now. I did a $100 product. I made right close to $5,000, and I was just like, and this is all from webinars, and I was just like, oh, we got the system. And I was telling my wife, I was like, listen, I just need to do this every single month. I can launch like this or whatever. And what I really wanted to understand is, I'm getting these people on, but what is it that I need to say in order to get them to see that I'm the person that would help transform your life?
Yeah.
And so I started, I was already in conversation with E.T., and we went to his conference in Chicago, and they asked us to take the DISC assessment. And then Moose, who was over there, he ended up breaking it down for us. D, the I, the S, the C. And I was just so fascinated. My wife was opened up, and she was now like very in tune with her emotion, and we're both like, this is amazing. Yeah. So so we started learning a lot of stuff about our personality and our behavior. And I went up to Moose and was like, yo, are y'all teaching this? And that's when afterwards, E.T. hit me up, and he was like, he says, hey, we're doing a program. I want to invite you and your wife. I would love to have a married couple in there and all that stuff. And he tells me the price. And at the time, I think it was going to be about $2,000 for the both of us. And all we had in our savings at the time was $2,000. And I said to wifey, now keep in mind, I just quit my job. And I'm just like, oh my God, we don't have it to do it. But I know I just felt like this was going to be something that just got me to the next level. And I was willing to take the risk. So I bought it, and we become certified in it. And I'm telling you, I am like, oh shoot, this is going to change how I even talk on my webinars. So I understood like there's 4 different behavior types. And I was like, okay, there's a person that likes the information faster, less stories, but they're fact driven. They're demanding. They want to see your accolades. They want to know that who you've worked with and you got some results. Okay, cool. I know this person. There's another person that is all about the engagement, the action, the stories, the energy, and all of those things. So I have to give them energy. I have to use words like inspiration and all of this stuff. I have to be inspiring and stuff like that. And then there's another person that needs bullet points. They want you to talk. There should be parts in the webinar where you're talking slower and you're being more direct and you're reading off of the bullet points. So I wanted to have slides to create this structure, right? And then the last person is more detail oriented. So they want to know that you have a step-by-step system. I'm using words now like system and process and worksheets and taking notes and outcomes and percentages and conversions. So I'm using their language. With the third person I'm saying, imagine you being in position to help more people, because I know their personality is all about serving and helping. And then the second person, I'm like, imagine you being in a room and you changing the energy. Imagine the impact that you can have on people and all that stuff. The D, I'm like, imagine, the projects that you can now manage and the success that you're going to have. And, you know, imagine how far you're going to grow and the money you're going to make. So when I start to learn this, and this is what we learned, it's called extreme execution. This is what we learned. And I was like, this is gold. And so I get back to doing my webinars, and now I finally have my first $10,000 launch. I have a $15K launch. And I'm just like, like, we found it, man. And right in the midst of these things, I get another call from Eric Thomas' COO. And she's like, yo, E wants to talk to you about doing a funnel for us. And I'm like, okay, all right, let's do it. So we get on the call. He was like, yo, so you talked about funnels and things like that. And the reason why they hit me up is because I started doing it, and then I started teaching it for free inside with the other extreme execution coaches.
Got it.
So I would do every Tuesday and Wednesday. I would just we were in a text group at the time, and I would just text like, hey y'all, I'm about to go. Here's a Zoom. I'm about to go live today. Again, I'll be teaching on this, how I just set up this and how I made this and all of these things. And so I did that for like 4 to 6 weeks, and finally I didn't do it for them to call me, but they ended up calling me.
Yeah.
And they were like, yo, we want to get a funnel with you to do a funnel for us, a webinar funnel. So now I have my first person that is about to let me test this system that I've been trying to figure out on somebody else.
Yes.
That's the crazy part. The first person I get to test it on is Eric Thomas.
So, and the cool thing about that is what it says is, for a person like me who doesn't have the Eric Thomas brand, it's like you were able to perfect your system with the resources. Yeah, and you figured it out on your own without the resources.
Exactly.
Which helps me understand, okay, you bridging the gap between us who don't have it and then those who do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so before I even got to his, because, it took a little bit because of contracts and reading and all that, my buddy, my guy, Rashard, I think you met Rashard. Have you met? No, you haven't. Okay. So my guy, Rashard, and his wife, Adeze, they're like, yo, we got our product. We need you to launch it for us. So that launch ends up happening before ET's launch. So I got a chance to see my system, and I'm telling you, I'm bringing out all my ideas. Everything that I wanted to do for my own, but that I didn't have the money to do it, and I knew they had the bread. I knew they had the money at the time. I'm like, yo, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this. We're going to do, because I want to test out my system and see if it's full, in the fullness, what would it look like? And we made over $100,000 in one night. And I was just like, I told them we were going to do 6 figures. They said we want to get 100 sales. They had $1,000 product. I said, we're going to do this. But I ain't really know, but I felt like if I did how I'm thinking in my head it should be done, this will be the outcome. And we went out to this restaurant called Perkins that night at like 1 o'clock in the morning celebrating. Now keep in mind, I'm celebrating their win of $100,000 launch, and I am broke.
You didn't charge for anything. You just did it on a volunteer.
I just did it on the strength.
Yo.
Right. So the crazy thing is, like, I had those 10 and 15K launches, but you understand, I quit my job, so I'm using that to live off of. Mm-hmm. So it's like I don't have that money. It was great launches, but there's a lot of strain on this business. Yeah. So I'm now trying to prove my concept. So they came, I did it for free. But now they're clients right now. We have a contract, everything. I get paid from them because they were like, well, we want to do it again. All right, now it's different. Yeah. I've launched ET by then. Okay, we're gonna.
Yesterday's price is not today's.
Definitely not today's price. Okay, so now I get a chance to I launch them. They're good. I launch E, and we take it to the moon. They extend the contract, and then here comes Dave. Dave joins Extreme Execution. And I was like, I even like, babe, Dave Shits is in the group. And I'm like, I'm about to hit him up today. And I immediately like, yo, Dave, I want to talk to you about, I was talking about building a community. And Dave's heart, he gonna jump on the call with you. All right, I've been watching Dave for like 9 months, 10 months at this point, and I even seen him. I started following him because he was in ET's Breathe University course, so I started following Dave back then. So he jumps on a call. I'm building my community. I ain't really need advice, so I listened to it, and I said, he was like, "Yo, so you should come out to my Social Proof conference." Yo, who's launching that? He's like, launching it? I'm just going to start posting it on Instagram. I said, bruh, I can launch that for you. He was like, well, what do you do? I said, I'm a launch strategist. I launched Eric Thomas. Look, I got a name now. I got a name now. And I also launched my guy, Rashard Duncan, his wife, at Daisy, and they made this and all of these things. And he's like, let's set up a meeting. I'm like, bet, let's do it. And again, I didn't charge him. I said, you know what? Because he even asked, what would you charge? I said, yo, let's just build. Let's just build a relationship. And, that ended up prospering. Like, that was good ground, to pour a seed into was, doing that. And he was even telling me, like, we launched it through a webinar. He was like, bro, this time last year, I only had 5 sales. Now I'm up to 100 sales off one webinar. One webinar, we got 100 sales for his and he was only trying to sell like 300, 400 tickets at the time. And so I was like, oh, this is it. Yeah. I'm getting proof after proof after proof that this is the way to go. This is the system. This is the vehicle to use. And from Dave Shands came him 500 online. And then we launch him, do the same thing. And then, boom, it just starts getting crazy at that point.
And all of this is before Corona.
This is all before Corona.
Because anybody can say, like, during Corona, everything was virtual, so everybody's attention was on the computer. Yeah. This is before Corona,
this
so, like, everybody's in person. And for, like, even, like, for myself, I've had to kind of talk myself through, like, doubts about, like, timing and will I be able to hold attention and all these different things. But this happened before people were even, like, virtual.
Yeah, this is before. This is all before. Yeah. Now, when it got...
Thank you so much for watching the Work and Play podcast. This episode is sponsored by the Boss Up Conference, which is a community for entrepreneurs, CEOs, celebrities, and corporate executives to come together, network, and solve some problems. Thank y'all so much for being supporters of the Work and Play podcast. And thank you for watching the Work and Play podcast and all the episodes before. Now let's get back to the episode.
When the COVID and all that hit, our business was just like, it became too much. I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta get a team now. I gotta hire people and SOPs. Like, we gotta put systems in place. Because all of this stuff is just in my head. Yeah. At the time, I'm the one typing all the emails for the client. I'm doing the writing and on the sales pages and all this stuff. I'm doing all of that because I had been like Kimmer Luna. She had a course on copywriting. So I knew how to write copy. I knew this whole process, and I'm doing it for every client, for each client. So I'm doing it for Dave. I'm doing it for E. I did it for Rashard and Daisy. I did it for him 500. I did it for everybody that's coming. And then all of a sudden, we just get an influx. And I'm just like, babe, we got to get people. Yeah. We got to get some people.
I feel like that's an entrepreneur's dream. So you had 2 opportunities to test your concept. The first proving your concept was when you got to work with ET. Really, you had a budget to but learn on someone else's dollars, right? Yeah, for sure. And then the second one is when you found that your system worked on a one-to-one basis, you had another opportunity to also like pressure test your system, and you quickly picked up and got a team. This whole conversation reminds me of my favorite lesson in your course. Okay. And it's about relationship building. Okay. So a lot of me learning about my D, because I speak from a strengths perspective, but I do like the DISC assessment specifically, like because it helps me understand behavioral patterns, right? And what I like about the lesson that's my favorite is you put strategy behind like normal relationship building like tendencies. Yeah, for sure. So for example, you talked about when you said, hey, I'm gonna start teaching y'all how to do these, like this webinar that I figured out how to set up. You were doing that on live every day for 4 weeks, and then ET picks up. Yeah. You basically learned a system or strategy around the I personality. Yes. I feel like that's specifically for me.
No, it's huge. It's huge.
But my thought, and then another thing.
I can give you examples of that, but go ahead.
Well, I absolutely would love that. Because I think the word social capital comes up, and for people who have that relationship builder and influencer, and you're not so project oriented or execution focused, we have to learn how to monetize our gifts.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And I feel like you did that.
Yo, ET said it best. It's like the high I, which is that second behavior type that I was talking about earlier. We are ATM machines. I love when he said it, and I didn't quite understand it until it was like anywhere I go, because of what's the information that we have and how we can deliver it, we can instantly be able to charge people. We can instantly, or when you're seeing people do the videos, who are they getting? They're getting the high personality person to be in the videos. Everyone, like Will Smith, he's a high I.
Yeah.
High personality, these are the ones that you're seeing actors and singers and performers and all of that stuff, because there's a certain attraction. People want the high eyes to bring in the attraction. So literally we can make money just anytime we want. Yeah, with just our ideas. With just our energy. Yeah, people, corporate people hire someone to come in just to shift the morale. Morale is everything. We are literally morale shifters. Yeah. We can come in a room and that room could be sobbing and I can shift the entire room. One person, I can make everybody in that room feel good. Just like when you were like, man, I may need to be a different type of coach. People tell me I'm only inspiring. And I'm like, oh shoot, well, if you got that down, that's the best thing you can do, because now you can inspire means you get people to take action, and you immediately was like, So when you understand this gift that you have to be able to shift into the room, you need to use that, right? So I was doing it unconsciously. It's just something that I knew, but once I understood that about E, then I did it again. So I joined. I was a part of this network marketing company. I joined that also the year I quit my job, because I was like, I'm still trying to make some money. What I noticed was, like, if I serve the people will market me to the higher people. Yeah. And people don't think that, but this is real. Serving the people determine who's hot and who's not. You can't, like, there are artists that come out, like, think about singers that come out, and if the market does not like them, if the people doesn't like them, they're not buying your CD. So this is why CDs flop. It's like, we don't like them, we don't pay attention to them. If a rapper wears something and everybody say, oh, that's trash, it's trash. It doesn't matter. The market, the people determine what's in, what's out, who's canceled, who's not. That's the people. So I learned that if you serve the people, then the people will say, yep, you're in. Yeah. And they will start to market you. So with this network marketing company, there's one guy, his name was Brandon Boyd. I understood, like, he had all the people following him. He was like the top when I first joined. But he had all the systems and all of these things. I learned that with men especially, and it's a shame to say, like, men don't often get validated. I learned that you compliment a man, another man compliment another man, it instantly lowers their guard. They're instantly like, oh, okay, well, I appreciate it. You noticed that, huh? And this is not just men, not people, period, like, don't get validated or recognized for the things they do or affirmed enough. So you can lower people's guard, period, from just affirming them and just making them feel like, okay, somebody did see me. All right, thank you. Like, just can you acknowledge that I am trying? Yeah. Like, there's a meme on Instagram where it's like, so Jane, what do you do for work? My best, John. My best. That's what I do. And people just want to be affirmed for trying their best. Yeah. So I go up to my man and I'm just like, yo, Brandon, what you are doing with this, and this, bruh, you're on point. And it's not gassing him. It's literally legit. Yeah. But I've just learned to lower my ego and understand that I can compliment another man and not feel like my manhood is in jeopardy because of that. Right. So I'm able to confidently go to him and like, your system, this and this and this. Can you please tell me what I need to do? We're at a party, one of the parties for the company, and he takes 45 minutes, walks away from his wife and everything, and just talks to me. That's the first seed, relationship. What I had to know, what you also know, is the backstory of he was doing a thing called morning motivation. He started it, I needed to start building a relationship with him. So my guy, Rashard, I'm like, yo, tell Brandon I'm trying to get on morning motivation. Tell him it's the big guy that he talked to at the party with the red glasses. Seed was planted. I left an impression. When Rashard talked to him, he was like, oh, I remember him. Words, right? Yes, words. He invites me on there. He has like 20 people on at the time. I kill it. I only talk for like 6 minutes. And he's like, bro, can you come back and do this 3 days a week? Yes. So now for the entire company, I'm doing a morning motivation call 3 days a week. Now there's 6 and 7 and 800 and 1,000 people getting on this. I am serving the market on the highest level that I can. All right. What happens from there? The big people in the company are like, yo, there's this guy Words. You need to start getting on his calls. He does Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So the calls go to like 2,000, and we create a group. And in this group now, Morning Motivation on Facebook, probably has like 28,000 people in it. Okay? So it's getting crazy where I'm known all over the company. It ends up getting to the CEO. The CEO shares my stuff on Instagram, and he says, this guy here, everybody should be listening to. My Instagram at the time was maybe had 1,500 people. Boom, shoots up to like 6,000 people. And I'm just like, I'm just serving.
Yeah.
For free.
Yeah.
I ain't asked anybody for any money. So he shares my stuff. I reach out to him. I said, yo, his name is Christopher Terry. I reached out to him like, yo, Chris, I appreciate you sharing my stuff, man. Salute. I got a lot of great ideas on how we can shift the morale and the mindset of the company. He says, here's my number. I'm like, hold on now. You gave me your number. So if I get a number, I'm using it. I did all of my steps, played chess all the way up here. I'm using this number. So I hit him up, missing him, hit him up, missing him. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm about to hit you every day now. So I hit my man every day.
What did you say?
I'm just hitting him like, hey, Chris, today is a good time to talk. Hey, Chris, I wanted to pitch this idea back about, with you. Yo, Chris, I was sending him screenshots of what people were saying when I got off the call, some of the comments, like, yo, did you see this comment and all that stuff? And so finally, we get on there was a Zoom call happening. I jump on the Zoom call. He sees my face and he was like, yo, there's Words Taylor right now. Words Taylor, and I have this recording, right? Words Taylor, if you're not on his calls, and he's promoting the calls again. And finally, after that, he gives me a ring back. Let's talk in the morning. He FaceTimed me and he was like, yo, I love what you're doing. I want you to do this and this and this. And right then and there, he starts talking to what's the motivational speaker, the old Les Brown.
Yeah.
So Les Brown comes into the picture and I'm like, oh my God, Les Brown is about to take I done tilled all this ground. So I talked to him. He's like, yo, this is what we want to do. I'm gonna bring you on stage. Now think about it. It's 20, 30,000 people in this company. And I'm about to be on the stage. And I get the call up like, yo, Les Brown, we brought him on. And you can't be mad. It's Les Brown. So, but what ends up happening is we go to Vegas. I see Les Brown. It's dope. It's incredible. I hit him that night. I said, yo, Chris, I love the fact that, you got Les Brown on here. I said, this may be, selfishly speaking. But I said, I tilled this ground. This motivation mindset, like I've been putting in the work for the last 9 months. I've done 3 lives a week, and I even started doing one for the UK team. I'm like, I've been doing 4 lives a week. I'm like, I haven't asked for anything. Like, there's no way Les Brown should be on the platform and not be on there. My man was like, you're right. Let's get a contract and stuff set up. And from then on, I'm still on there now. Like, I have my own channel on their platform where the whole company could come see me, and they got a retainer that I charge, so I was able to start a different part of my business, retainer that they pay, and I'm teaching people on there. And me and Les Brown were on there together at one point, right side by side. He's no longer with the company, but that was right there. I was like, oh my God, this is it. And people knew, like people started getting on my channels like, yo, I've seen you go from here to here to here. And it was all because of, what you just said. It's like the high I has this magnetic ability to attract people, to shift, and the biggest thing is using the power for good, to actually take people where they want to go, not where you want them to go, but to give people what they desire. And so that's what I use.
I love that so much, and it gives so much context around why I like that lesson so much. Because I think before I listened to the lesson, I didn't have a strategy for being me, right? I think in spurts I might just attract a whole bunch of people. I might even get scared, like, whoa, where y'all come from? And then because I'm not doing anything on purpose. I think the course, that lesson just allows me to be more intentional. And like I say, social capital, that's actually a term that I learned in my social work program around community partnerships, when you're developing social capital with organizations intentionally. And that lesson pieced together the way we naturally are, creating a system that will pay dividends if you trust it.
For sure.
So like I said, before I learned about the disc, and before I watched your lesson, when it comes to the high I thing, sometimes I can feel like I'm just all over the place, right?
We are.
but the other thing that you mentioned in your story was feeling inadequate. The feeling of inadequate actually does kind of come up sometimes, because when you're raising a systematic perspective, the way to make money has everything to do with the D's, the S's, and the C's. And the I is not as validated in the systematic workplace.
For sure.
So I'm curious, before you realized the power in everything that you were doing, do you recall ever feeling like you didn't really know your gifts were valuable?
Absolutely.
What was that like for you?
I think, whereas I remember this one time. So going back to the company, these are really good questions, by the way. Going back to the company, that was another event that we went to, and the guy, I go up to this older guy. He's there. He's like, "Oh, where's Taylor?" And by this time, everybody in the company is starting to know me, and it's a really good feeling to be validated on that level. However, when you truly still don't understand the power, you can be getting validation, but if you yourself are still dealing with inadequacies, it's hard to see what they see. And that was the struggle. So he comes up to me and he's like, what do you charge for a keynote? And I'm thinking to myself, and I didn't even charge this. I'd only been asked to do a keynote maybe 1 or 2 times, and I maybe charged $500. So I'm thinking I charge $3,000. Okay, and I was comfortable with saying 3. My man was like, you know what, Words, you need to be charging at least $10,000. And I was like, okay, well, what? He's like, I've listened to your calls, and even I get inspired. And he walks away. And another guy comes like, yo, do you know who that is? It's like Ed. I can't remember my man's last name, but he was like, do you know who that is? I'm like, no. He's like, oh, he's a millionaire. He does this and this. I'm like, oh, let me get back over this. Okay, well, listen, Ed, tell me what I need to do to charge for $10,000. He's like, you know how you go from $3,000 to $10,000? The next time you get an invoice the next time you get a proposal to speak, just put 10 instead of 3. I said, bruh, listen here. Look in here. Okay, if it was that easy, but it is that easy, but it's the mindset shifting. Right? So that's to dig into your question, when you feel like you have a gift, but you haven't completely owned it or understand it or know truly what it is, it's it's like paralyzing. It stops you from growing. It stops you from being able to make sound decisions, because everything is based off of the fear. You feel everything is based off of you still like, I don't know me. I don't know if this is really me. So to charge $10,000 was like unheard of. It's like, what are they getting? And he was trying to convince me then, like, you don't know how you move a room, and just think about if you shift a perspective in somebody's thing, and now they go off and now they actually start their business, or now they actually do this. What is that worth? What is what worth? And he was like, the actions that you just influenced. And I could not grasp this concept at the time. Even a buddy of mine, for free, I did a lot of serving to get up here, right? We sit down for a coffee, and I go through his website. I tell him what the copy should be. I start changing everything about it. And he tells me, he's like, man, he calls me back like 3-4 months later. He's like, words, bro, you will not believe I've made $52,000 in the last. And I'm like, wait, what? And he's like, one consultation with you shifted that perspective. He's like, you got to charge more. And he's telling me the same thing. Yeah. I can see it later, but they're both saying a conversation with you, the energy that you gave me, that you transferred, the inspiration, the hope, the clarity. Not only did you teach me the steps, but you then motivated me to take the steps, and you even made me feel like I need to take these steps. And you told me why I should take it. And I'm like, do people pay for that? Would somebody pay? I know today, but I didn't know it then. And that you get stuck. You start to feel very inadequate at that point, and you start to feel like, man, I'm never going to get it, because everybody else gifts, you can see it, you can point it out, it looks very tangible. And it's like, I know what you do. Yep, you do that, and you're a project man. But are people just going to pay me to talk to? Like, it don't make sense.
Yeah.
But today, my zone of genius is talking. I tell my team, I say, yo, only thing you got to do is make sure I'm talking. Don't ask me to do anything else. When I respond, y'all, you even know from DMing me. How do I respond back?
Voice. Yeah.
Keep me talking. Yeah. I don't want to. Once you have me doing this, I'm now adapting. I don't want to adapt. I don't want to live in the adaptation. I get stressed there. I don't want to text back. I don't want to read these long emails. If you must, like, just drop me a call and tell me what you're saying, or drop me a voice memo. I'll listen to it while I'm driving, while I'm transitioning, while I'm walking or working out. Something. So I'm limited. Books, I'm listening to them on audio, because I learned my zone of genius comes from when you put me in a room and I can talk and I can teach and I can transform and I can demonstrate.
Ooh.
That's the zone of genius.
Didn't I tell you that I'm excited that you were my coach?
Did
I not tell you that?
Let's go. I appreciate it.
I'm excited for so many reasons.
Let's go.
That I can't even fit in this one conversation. Yeah. But I'm thinking about, you mentioned your team, right? Mm-hmm. And man, I'm still floored at the fact that you don't force yourself to type. You don't force yourself to read. You don't force yourself to operate in the way that everybody else operates, just so that you can adapt to what they do. I feel like that's
I need to learn how I learn.
Yeah.
I need to receive how I receive. And then if I'm doing it how I do it, I'm gonna receive it a lot faster.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna be able to apply it a lot faster. Mm-hmm. So me reading a book, like my wife, you got to give hers in a book. Mm-hmm. She will hit 500 pages, and if you let her have the whole day, she'll probably have it done that day or the next day at least. Mm-hmm. Right? Me, 500 pages, I'm gonna need the whole year on that. I'm gonna have to read one sentence over and over. I'm trying to visualize it. What are they saying? Yeah. I lose my thought. I lose like all of those things. But when I hear the voice, the audio, and I hear the inflections in your voice and all of that stuff, now I can receive it. I can digest it, and now I can apply what I'm learning a lot faster.
Yeah. So
why would I do the reading part? Now I'm not saying that I don't do books.
Yeah.
Okay, let's be clear. Mm-hmm. Okay, no, I I'm all about new books, reading books. I've had us read books and all that stuff. I'm saying putting the eyes to the page, that's going to slow me down. So now you think if it's going to take me a year to get to the aha moment because I'm reading the book, I just lost a whole year.
Yeah.
But if I can listen to the book on 1.5 speed and be done in 7 days, now I have the whole year to apply. That's the difference. So now when you start learning yourself, you learn how the speed is not, fast is not about speed. Like fast is about deliberate actions, deliberate movements.
Yeah.
Step by step. I can start going faster just by taking deliberate steps. I got the book done sooner. It gave me the steps. Now I can take those steps. That's how I'm going to speed up.
Yeah.
But I'm going to slow down if I'm adapting, if I'm not who I am. That's key.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. A lot of times, and it's similar to the strengths conversation where there's 34 strengths. It's like Gallup Strengths Finder.
Yep.
And you got your 34, but then the number 34, somebody might spend all day long trying to perfect 34 when they should really learn how to just be number one.
Exactly.
And that speaks specific to my journey.
Mine, I'm a storyteller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like really well.
Every time I answer, I'm telling a story. But that's what I found in the Strength Finders. One of them is storytelling. Yeah.
Another thing your wife told me yesterday, I got a chance to talk to her. She was saying, and this helped me as well. You created your team of S's and C's.
Right.
Because it allows you to be an I.
Yeah.
And I think every entrepreneur's dream is to develop a team that appeases their strengths. Yeah. But before we become that successful, before we become that level, we are doing everything.
Yeah.
So in your like entrepreneurial journey, you were doing everything.
I'm doing everything.
Can you imagine like some of the projects or even like a loss that you know you could have probably delivered if you had the team, but you didn't?
Hey y'all, let me tell you about my friends at Run the World Clothing. Run the World is a community empowerment brand that chooses to educate on Black history, Black culture, and Black radical thought through apparel and experiences. Run the World is a vessel to celebrate the Black experience for Black people and our allies. And I have on one of their latest pieces from this season's collection. So if you haven't seen Run the World Vic's episode on the Work and Play podcast, go check it out or go to their website to check out some of their apparel. Now let's get back to the episode.
Yeah. I mean, that's everything. We probably could have maximized the money that my client made and all of those things. I probably could have taken more clients on. But again, when I say how I learn is important to speed me up, how I like to communicate is also important. So now, because I'm doing one-man job, I'm writing all the emails. Look, I'm adapting. I'm using my hands. Whenever I start using my hands, I'm now in adaption mode. Yeah. This is not my go-to.
Yeah.
My go-to is here. So when I have to do this, I'm building the pages. I'm doing the slides and all that. So I'm slowing down and I'm getting stressed weekly. By the day, I'm getting more and more stressed because I'm in a role that is non-fitting. And so now this is hindering the growth of our business. And I probably could take another client, but I'm so stressed in this one that I'm now having to turn down it's like, no, I'm saying stuff like we're full. We're not full at the time when it was just me, but I'm so stressed, like I don't even want to take on. I got to pass up the money.
Yeah.
You know? And so now I'm building a team. I needed to build a team of people that were like, oh, I like using my hands. I like creating step-by-step charts and all that. Oh, really? Because I don't like doing any of that stuff. So I'm now, you bring on the people that have, this is what their natural behavior is. I don't want another person that is adapting. I don't want anybody like me and I'm asking them to adapt to this role. I want people like, this is naturally you. You naturally think this way.
Yeah.
You think in steps. You think in conversions and percentages and facts. I need that. And then when we brought on our operations, G, like, that's the D, right? Like, that's the person that is the whip cracker. You know, that's the one that I want. Like, I'm a high D as well. I mean, I like stuff done, but I love being this person. I love being the energetic person and all that.
The experience.
Yeah, the experience. When you have to be the other person, her role, that means you're always pushing people, demanding people, asking them about Okay, when are you gonna have that done? And why isn't this done? It's like, to me, that may be very mean, but it's not. It's just how they think. You gave them a job to push the project forward. Mm-hmm. They're only trying to get the project forward.
Yeah.
Now people are gonna look at them like, you're being mean. No, I'm holding you accountable to what you said you can do. You said you can do this, and you agreed to these check-ins. Don't be mad because I'm actually checking in.
Holding you accountable.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what I don't like that. I don't like doing that to people.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even like saying somebody works for me. I like, oh yeah, we've partnered on this. It just, I want everybody to feel like they're bosses. And that's why even with the team, I'll tell them like, yo, you should be working on at least your own project, your own digital product. And if you're ready, I'll help you launch that thing. You know, so you can still be creating your own passive flow of income.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's where we start building a team. That's what I said. That $2,000 I invested, just, oh my goodness, to look now how we operate our team, how my wife and I communicate in our marriage, with our kids, how I communicate with the dream builders, all of that stuff, me doing webinars, that $2,000 investment was an investment that has paid me over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you want to start really, when you find a teacher or coach and they have the $2,000, $5,000 investment, don't focus on the money. Focus on what will your life look like after you get the information and apply what they're about to teach you. Is it worth it? And if you can't say that it will be worth it, okay, don't do it. But if you can say like, man, the way they're telling it, if I apply this information, I will now be here and I'll be able to do this and I'll have this type of relief and I'll be able to have this type of freedom and if your life starts to look better when you think about what's gonna come from this, you better take it. You better do it. Yeah. And I did it every time with Kimber Luna's course. My life looks a whole lot different after that. With ET's Extreme Execution, my life looks a whole lot different after that. Every investment I've invested into a Billie Jean product, and that was $5,000. My life looked a whole lot different after that because I'm applying these things. I believe in what the transformation. So yeah.
Thanks. Now, I'm curious. I know you. I feel like you have a natural battery pack, like in your back, and I get a chance to kind of get to know you through like different interactions. But I'm always curious. We also have a little bit of a difference. I was born in kind of a systematic way. You were born entrepreneurial, which has that. I think about the dichotomy of like hunger versus like a little bit of comfort. Right. And then I grew up middle class, right? So I never had that syrup sandwich story where like I opened up the refrigerator, I had the bread, I had the syrup, so we had to make do. Yeah. But I resonate with that. E.T.'s story where he had to eat out the trash can. Yeah. I resonate with that. Yeah. I don't know, something spiritual for me because I never had those physical experiences. Yeah. So for you, when you think about like what drives you on a daily basis, what's your syrup sandwich where you're like, I'm never going back to this thing again?
Yeah. So for me, I would say I grew up middle class. Once I lived with my father, prior to that, I definitely had syrup sandwiches and all of that. You know, living with my mother, just because it was a different lifestyle. But now the driving force, and my wife will even tell you this. I probably just said this to her maybe a week ago. I don't care what level. I heard Kevin Hart talk about this. Now we know where Kevin Hart is. And he was like, I always feel like I'm going to lose it all. I always feel like this. And so like maybe a week or two ago, I'm like, babe, man, we're making a lot of investment, stuff like that. I'm seeing money go out. It's making me uncomfortable, babe. And I'm like, I'm not going back to the basement, And the basement is when, we're on this entrepreneur. And this is the whole reason I even just decided to go to corporate. We had lost I had lost a job or whatever, and we had bought a house and we bought cars and all of these things, and then we ended up losing all those things. We had stuff repossessed and taken away, and it got to a point where we were going to getting payday loans, and We're going to food pantries and all of these things. And our friend, when we lost the house, our friend Sahai, she was like, well, y'all can come stay. They had just bought a house. Y'all can come stay with us, you know. And so we stayed in their basement for like 4 months. And as a man, you know, I remember with my daughter, with my wife, I sat down with her pops. And one of the things I said to him was like, you know, if you allow me to marry your daughter, because I was taught traditionally, I still ask for her hand. If you allow me to marry your daughter, you will never have to worry about her like struggling or financially or anything again. And I just remember us being in that basement, and I thought about that moment, like, look at this. Like, this is where I have my wife and my daughter, who was 5 months at the time, and we even had to borrow money from her pops. And I'm just like, I am feeling the worst. I'm very ashamed. You know, I asked my wife for forgiveness, everything. I don't even want to come upstairs. You know, my wife is like, this is still cool for her. This is like, oh, it's a transition. So it may not have meant as much to her, but for me, it's like, I'm supposed to not make sure we don't get here. So they were like, yo, dinner's ready. And I wouldn't come up and eat with everybody else. I would eat, you know, later at night, because I'm like, I don't even want you to see me, look at me. Mm-hmm. And during this time, I had 4 friends move into their new houses. And I'm just like, oh my God. And I'm helping all of them move. One of them, my guy Mark, he's like, yo, I want you to come over, because he was getting his house built. He was like, they just finished out the framing. I just want you to come enjoy this moment with me. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is just... So I'm driving there, and I'm like, be happy for your friend. Be happy for your friend. Be happy for your friend. Again, I can bring this energy. And I get out, and I'm like, oh man, I'm in your driveway, bro. This is your driveway. This is yours. You know what I'm saying? This is gonna be, well, it wasn't really a driveway yet, but this is gonna be your driveway. And he's walking through, and he's like, yeah, so there's gonna be a fireplace here, because it's just the framing. It's not a house yet. They just framed it. We're still inside the house, but we're still outside. You know? And he's like, yeah, and they're gonna do this and that, like painting a dream. Yeah. And I'm excited for my friend, but I am hurting. You know what I'm saying? I am hurting inside. And so for me, like, that's the place. It's like, I don't want to get back there. I don't mind celebrating my friend, my guy Rashard. They bought a new house, and I'm like, bro, there was nothing wrong with the old one. So I'm just seeing, it feels like everybody's progressing. Everybody feel like they're winning except for me. So now you start comparing yourself. Mm-hmm. I'm in a place where it's now like, why? You know, I start asking, God, why me? Why I gotta have all these hardships? Why? Now I start going to my childhood. I didn't have my mother. Well, I'm going into everything, and I'm just mad at this point. And so for me, it's like, I can't go back there. I can't go back to the basement and relying on the other people. I can't go back feeling sorry for myself. I can't go back to blaming other people. I can't go back to everybody feeling like everybody's winning except for me. So like that keeps me going. But more so, the reason I don't want to go back, because then it slows down what I'm able to do for my kids, mm-hmm. my family. Mm-hmm. Like what really gets me to shift is me being able to be a provider for my family. I take pride in that, and being able to provide for them, but not just while I'm here, but even in my death. And so if I can't do that, if I take time out making mistakes and I got to go back to this basement situation, it's like it takes away from them. It takes away from what I'm able to do for them, what I'm able to teach, what they're able to be exposed to. You know, we come visit here. We're in an Airbnb that is, you know, it's nice. You know, when my daughter, all 3 of them and me could fit in the tub, and it's like they're like, "Whoa, Daddy, that's just exposure." Yeah. It's not fronting. It's like it's exposure. They're now being exposed to these things. So you know, no. This is the caliber of life that you need to have for yourself. This is it. Mm-hmm. And you see Daddy and see how we move. This is how you get it. Yeah. So, but if I go back there, we lose that. We lose that. That can't happen.
No.
That won't happen.
No. Not for none of us. Not for the dream builders. Not for your family. Not for the world. So so when I think about your whole story and the investments that you've made along the way that have clearly brought you to where you are today, and it's only ironic that I've invested in the Dream Builder Nation, and I of course have my own vision of where I'm going to go.
For sure.
When you think about like your level up, your next level, what is the investment that you're making in yourself? What kind of coaching are you doing?
So I and I announced this to you all, right? So I'm investing into a coach as well. So for me, it was like, bro, I want to make this type of money, and so I found somebody that had made like 5 times that, and he's talking about, the investment is, it's a high ticket investment. We're talking about, let's just say higher than 10, lower than 60. Okay, all right, but it was the largest investment that I've ever made in teaching and like my own mindset. But I understand not just mindset, but how to structure my business, how to like prepare for scale, how to build the team around the team that I have, and create the job descriptions and all those. Like it's a lot of things that's focusing on that really to really understand how to put people in position so you can have a longevity type of business. And then he even teaches you how to buy other businesses and all of these things. So I invested into that. I learned that so let me ask you this. If you wanted to get more sales, right? Maybe you're getting like 5 sales a day, and you wanted to I want to get 30 or 40 sales a day. What would you think to do?
Scale up somehow, duplicate myself. That probably would be my first thought. Okay,
you duplicate yourself, get somebody else, okay, to help you out. Okay, cool. So most people are going to do something like that. They're like, oh, let me hire an employee or let me hire a team member, and that's how I would think about it as well. Or let me start turning on ads, or let me do more videos and all of those things. We think about there's a symptom of I want more sales, so we start creating solutions for that symptom. When that's not really the symptom that you should be creating a solution for. Anytime you want more growth, you have to invest into you. You have to invest into you increasing yourself, and that will increase everything else around you. If you start to learn more and you start to shift your perspective, and you start to invest into mindset, you invest into other courses or coaches, things like that, that is going to be the thing that shifts everything else you do. So you will start to learn, instead of guessing, do I need to do ads? Should I do? No, what you really need to do is start investing into, you. And that is you investing into this next level. I just showed you, every time I invested into something, I learned something, I came out of something with something that I can now apply to my business or apply to my life and grow it. Yeah. So instead of me actually saying, okay, I'm going to put this money on, because I want to grow this part, I'm going to just put this money in here. No, it's like I go through a process of learning. So now I want to learn how to make tens of millions of dollars a year. So I got to go to somebody that has done it and has mastered it, and I'm willing to pay the investment so I can do it. So it's investing into my wife and I. It's an investment into us. And as we increase, we're going to give this to our team. We're going to give this to you all. Everybody and everything around us grows. So I would definitely suggest that we are very much being on point when it comes to hiring a coach, investing into courses, investing into coaching programs, group coaching. Whatever gives you the best touch, the highest level of touch, that's what I'm doing.
Let's go. Listen.
Let's go.
Listen. Yeah. I have thoroughly.
Okay.
Listen, I think I got my investment in this conversation.
Let's go.
So before we get up out of here, I always reach back to. Absolutely. Listen, we gotta. Okay. Practicing what you preach.
This is the end of my gallon right here.
Let's go. Yeah, we want all of that. All of that hydration. So I'm thinking about the folks. So I always ask this question as we go forward. We reach back to folks who haven't yet made their leap yet. And I know you're not working on like the aspiring entrepreneur anymore because you've already mastered that level. Yeah. But a lot of times I'm talking to that person. And so as we get as we wrap up, I would love for you to kind of leave a word for someone who is in that spot where they are still aspiring, they're still in their corporate job, they're still in a cubicle, and they want to become entrepreneurs. Yeah. What would you say to them, and what's the first thing that they need to do in order to make their journey?
Yeah, so the first thing I would say is I would focus on not trying to transition out of my job and keep the same lifestyle. What happens is you may be making $80,000, you're making $100,000 a year, so you have a $100,000 a year lifestyle. And you want to go straight from I'm a corporate employee to I am an entrepreneur still making $100,000.
Right.
So you tell yourself that, well, I will leave, I'm starting my business here, and I will leave when my business get here. However, what you should be doing is just proving the concept in your business. Once concept is proven, then I need to lower my overhead, my lifestyle, and then I'm going all in. Because to get to the 100,000, you need that time. You need that time that that your job is now taking. Your job is now disrupting your dream. So we got to dig into that. So what I did was, I think our overhead at the time was like $6,200 a month. It was, I don't even understand how it got up there. I don't even understand how we were paying that. Okay, but it was up there. So when I was trying to leave and stuff like that, I was now at a point where I'm like, okay, look, we need to lower this down. I got our expenses down to like $3,600 a month.
Got you. So it was 62 and you went to 36.
Like 36,000.
Got you.
I mean $3,600 a month.
Because I think the first time you said 62,000, I'm like, oh.
Yeah. No. 6,200. I'm sorry. It was 6,200.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was $6,200 a month, and I was like, I need to get this down to something. I got it down to $3,600, and that's because we had the iPhone Forever plan, so I just cut off I just paid off the iPhone. I literally took okay, I need to give like a disclaimer. My journey is not always going to be your journey. I took some huge risks. I'm not telling you to do this. However, I'm just telling you the journey that I took. Okay. So my wife still has some 401k money. I had a little 401k money as well. I took it all. I mean, I said I need all of it. Maybe it was like 28,000. It could have been, it's somewhere in there. I needed it all. Okay. I paid off these iPhones. Okay. So we just paid off. No new iPhones. I paid that off. I paid off a car that we had at the time. So it was like, okay, no more car note. I needed to lower the expenses that we had. I cut off our cable. We stopped bowling leagues, right? We had stopped doing some other activities. We stopped celebrating birthdays. I was like, look, no more birthdays, no more planning that out and all that. And besides, I'm like, yo, we're just surviving right now. And I don't want to celebrate another year of survival. Like, that's not fun for me. Yeah. So we cut those things out. We went from outdoor date nights to let's try to find indoor, and we just do once a month outdoor. So we really shifted a lot. There was a lot of apps that were getting me $10 a month and $15 a month. And I'm like, what are all these apps? Cut off all of those apps, and we were able to get it down to $3,600. Now when you look at it, you're like, if you've already proven your concept, you look at $3,600 a month and you're like, I could do that. I could actually make that work. So as an entrepreneur, it's just the jump doesn't seem as scary. What you really want to do is make the jump seem as less scary as possible. You want the jump to seem as small. It's still going to feel, but you're trying to just get it as less scary as possible. Yeah. $3,600. Can I do it? I'm thinking yes. It's still scary. Like, I got to make $3,600 a month. However, I'm like, yo, it's less than trying to do $6,200. It's less than trying to pay $10,000 a month. I'll take the 36. I'll go ahead and jump. That's what I would suggest for people to do. Lower that overhead, and then before you even lower your overhead, prove your concept. And then you can actually lower your overhead anyway. Just so you can start to get into those habits now, right? So we stopped even wifing getting her nails done. I stopped getting shaved by the barber. We cut out so much stuff. I was even trying to get us into a 1-bedroom apartment with just us and our kids. She wasn't going for that. I'm trying to get it, cut as much as possible. But start to live that lifestyle now while you're proving your concept. And so you'll prove your concept and you'll try it over and over again, and you'll look and see wait a minute, I only got to make $2,000 a month. Yeah. If a $200 product, you're like, I only need 10 sales, or whatever. I only need 10 sales a month. Oh, I could do that. Can you get 10 sales a month? Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Or you say to yourself, I gotta make $5,000. I got a $100 product. I need 50 sales. I could do. You start believing it.
Yeah.
And because it's less scary, and you jump.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
And if you can hit your goals as an entrepreneur while you're in your 9 to 5, then all you gotta do, like you said, hit the gas as soon as you have your time back.
Yep. And so what I don't suggest.
Hey guys, it's Ariel from the Work and Play podcast. If you're getting any value from this channel, and I mean anything from the tutorials to the podcast to the random videos that you see on this channel, then I just ask that you do one thing. Please subscribe. Subscribe and share this to anyone that you think this resonates with, and drop a comment below so I know what other things that you want to see next. Now let's get back to the episode.
If you don't have your concept proven, don't quit your job first. Because if you're not utilizing the time you have available to work on your business, then when you have more time, you're not going to. Whatever's getting your leftover time from the job will get more of it if you leave too soon. If you leave before proving your concept, if you leave before starting the structure of this is when I work on my business. I knew that I would work on my business this amount of time per day. Whether I got off a job, whether I felt like it or not, my business was going to get this work. Yeah. Now, when I had more time, my business got more. I replaced that time with more business time. And if you're not currently doing the small time you have left, you're not going to do it more time.
Yeah.
You're going to waste your time.
I agree.
And you're going to be like, oh, where's the Ariel said you take the leap. And it's like, no, it's not what we said. It's not it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So I promise you, I'm not, you are a busy man. And I recognize that. But I think because we're high eyes, even when we do trust faith a little bit more, there's always I'm not telling you to do what I do. So we gotta have the plan in place so that you can have what you need in place so that you can trust God. You can trust yourself.
Come on.
So thank you so much.
No, I appreciate you.
Thank you for giving us all the
That's
value.
good. That's good. I hope y'all enjoyed. I'm a storyteller, so I hope y'all enjoyed the stories and all that stuff.
Absolutely. So if y'all connected with Words of Story, if they want to stay connected with you, learn a little bit more, or if they want to join Dream Building.
You know what I'm saying?
How can they find you? How can they get connected?
Join the nation.
Yeah.
So just follow me at Words Taylor on IG, and then everything else is in the link in my bio. Dream Builder Nation is, you have to click the link and see if we're open, if we're taking new dream builders, because sometimes we like to act a little bougie, you know what I'm saying? We ain't taking everybody right now. But click the link in my bio, see if we open, and if we are, fill out the application. Let's get it.
Let's get it. Y'all know what to do. Until next time, I'll see you next week. Thank y'all so much. Peace out.
Yeah.